Hey everybody, this is me Vishwasnan. I'm the host of this webinar, and also thank you so much, Amulya ma'am, for being on our show virtually. It means a lot to get a person like you to get my community folks educated in terms of these topics. Because just imagine Amulya ma'am in a short hair instead of that long hair in the poster. That's it, simple as that. I don't know why. I don't know why we had a lot of technical issues back then, but like now we are sorted off to some extent. So, hey folks, thank you so much for joining in. By the way, it's an late evening webinar that we just organized, and over a course of time, industry saw a lot of Triton drivers from Nvidia making a lot of impact in terms of the deployment at the scale. And I think probably what we think in the scale today is probably because of Nvidia. And I think thank you so much, Amulya ma'am, for making time for our community. And I think we'll be having a lot of sync ups with a lot of other topics as well. And thank you so much for being part of the part one of it. Means a lot to us.
Thank you, Vishwas. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all, and really appreciate jumping on a meetup call at 8 p.m. We did have a little bit of technical issues, but that's fine. Let's get started. Hi, Poonam. Hi, everyone. Okay, so quick level set here. So I'm going to go through an overview of NVIDIA technologies and the developer resources that are available. And then I'm going to take questions or feedback towards the end. All right. Vishwas, will you be able to help me navigate the slides?
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Awesome. All right, let's get started. Hey everyone, again, Amulya here. I have been with NVIDIA for about 3.5 years now. Prior to NVIDIA, I used to work at Intel. I'm primarily based out of Santa Clara, California, and I do a bunch of things at NVIDIA now. Previously, I used to do technical product marketing for video analytics stack at NVIDIA, but today, in my new role, I focus on two things. One is enabling developer communities, and the other stream is enabling startups. And I work with emerging markets, community organizers, and startup accelerators, incubators, and so on. And we run a program for developer communities, which is called NVIDIA Emerging Chapters. And many of the local communities within India are already a part of it, and we are rapidly growing and expanding our program. So it's super exciting to have many folks join us within the NVIDIA ecosystem, but also sharing local developer challenges and also how our SDKs and open source projects can help you learn one or two things and also implement it in real life projects. All right, moving on to the next slide, please. The format is a bit off, probably because of the Google slide share, but that's okay. So high-level overview, we'll go through NVIDIA frameworks overview, and then we'll double-click on a few of them, including video analytics, accelerated data science, healthcare, and our newly launched metaverse solution, which is Omniverse, building 3D worlds. And then the third section would be the developer resources that are available, including our free developer program, our conference that's coming up next week, and Deep Learning Institute. At the end of this session, Vishwas and team will also be giving out 3 self-paced Deep Learning Institute coupons. And I think it's raffle based. So I'll let Vishwas decide how those 3 coupons will be distributed, but I'm super excited to be a part of the meetup today. Next slide, please. For some of you, I think NVIDIA is already a known name, but for those of you who are new to NVIDIA's ecosystem, and if you're wondering who we are an accelerated compute company. We were not only famous for gaming solutions, but now we also have many professional vertical solutions that include serving markets such as healthcare, that includes medical imaging, life sciences, genomics, to even quantum physics, cybersecurity-based solutions, digital twins, the metaverse solution that I mentioned earlier, which is NVIDIA Omniverse. We also have robotic stack, self-driving stack, conversational AI, computer vision, of course, everything AI, ML, data science, accelerated data science, quantum computing, and so on. So you might have already heard of CUDA, which is already been there for over 15 years now, and we've been accelerating systems and applications for over 15 years already using CUDA. And as I mentioned, we've mostly been known as a gaming home name, but we are much more than just gaming. And we have a full stack for many industries, and we have over 150K, sorry, not 150K, 150 SDKs available across different verticals. Next, please. Thank you. So as I mentioned, NVIDIA is our accelerated computing platform. It also has a full stack for many different verticals. RTX is our gaming framework. So think of these pillars that you see on the left side, such as RTX, HPC, Rapids, and so on, as virtual wrappers or virtual frameworks that make you think of it as like there are multiple SDKs that sit inside of these frameworks. And to simplify it for developers, we have these high-level virtual frameworks named as RTX for gaming, HPC for high-performance computing, Rapids for accelerated data science. We have CUDA-X AI. We have Clara for healthcare. Metropolis, you just see that shortened as Metro here. Metropolis for intelligent video analytics. Drive is our self-driving ecosystem and framework. Isaac is our robotics framework, and Ariel is our 5G ecosystem. And everything is built obviously on top of CUDA, as I mentioned earlier. The main focus here on the slide is that we have over 1 billion CUDA GPUs, over 3 million developers in our ecosystem already, and 30 million CUDA downloads so far. And as we speak, we have close to 10,000 technology startups that we enable. And specifically in India, we have about 760 startups that we're already working closely with. Next slide, please. All right, so double clicking on the frameworks that I mentioned, think of these as virtual wrappers or umbrellas under which many of the SDKs, open source libraries sit together. So Riva is our speech AI framework. Nemo is actually our, SDK, or think of it as a library for open source researchers who are in NLP. Merlin is for recommender systems. So if you're building a personalization or recommender engine, Merlin is something you might want to consider. It's again an open source set of libraries, suite of libraries, and then Metropolis and so on. So the main point here in the slide is that from desktop development to data center solutions to even edge AI or supercomputers or even like accelerated cloud access, you can run your application or service across any of these entities. Whether it's in speech AI or robotics or self-driving, you can pick and choose from any of these platforms. However, the focus of today's discussion is not to dive deeper into platforms, but more of just to give you an FYI on how the different platforms look like. And our SDKs support all of our platforms. And I want to double click on the Edge AI platform, which is the Jetson family. Next slide, please. Thank you. So within the Jetson family, we have a number of devices or dev kits, starting from the Jetson Nano side. Typically, educators, hobbyists, makers, or students prefer the Jetson Nanos. And then we also have the commercial developers or professional developers who are also interested in using Jetson Nano for the solutions, to even Xavier NX and AGX Xavier. The good thing about all of these different dev kits or platforms is that even though there are multiple of them, it's the same software, which is Jetpack. And I'm sure some of you are already familiar with it. If you're curious about how our roadmap is for Jetson in general, please look up developer.nvidia.com/Jetson, and you'll find our roadmap for software and hardware. Next slide, please. So this is just a high-level overview of the Jetson software. As I mentioned, it is applicable for multiple verticals, including smart cities, or even if you're building a retail logistics solutions or smart hospital-based application, for instance, or even if it's an ag tech robotics-based application, you can technically use Jetpack. And on top of Jetpack, there are also some specific industry-specific SDKs, such as DeepStream SDK for video analytics, Isaac SDK for robotics that you might want to consider as well. All of these software components are free to download on NVIDIA Developer Zone, so you're welcome to check them out. The main point here in the slide is that, again, Jetpack is uniform across all of the platforms that I showed previously and the dev kits, basically. And it's one SDK that's applicable to multiple verticals. And also we have an ecosystem of ISVs, service vendors, SIs, and even camera partners and sensor partners that are all in our Jetson ecosystem. Next slide, please. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about all the free resources that are available for developers, right? So if you haven't already heard of NGC, NGC is our think of it as a marketplace, or very similar to what you see with an iPhone or an Android phone, where you have an app store, right? So NGC is a similar marketplace where you can go and download all of the GPU optimized software. And when I say software, actually it includes all of the TensorFlow, GPU optimized, and like the other frameworks such as PyTorch, MXNet, and so on. You can also download models, model scripts. Everything sits in a containerized form within NGC. All of the models are free to download if you're curious about specific models and their performance. And like if you want to read up about it, just look up those backbone networks or purpose-built models on NGC, and you'll find all of the information. So we have models for computer vision, conversational AI, recommendation, healthcare as well. So take a look at it. It's all free. It's available inside the NGC catalog, and it's at ngc.nvidia.com. Next slide, please. So I wanted to double click again on the pre-trained models. So if you, again, I'm trying to simplify this meetups discussion by just touching high level in terms of the different things that we have. Again, like for in-depth, I would highly recommend joining us for Nvidia GTC. It's a free virtual conference next week where you can learn more in-depth deep dive into how these pre-trained models work, how to run these models on our low-code software, which is Tau Toolkit, and then deploy it using DeepStream SDK. But essentially, the takeaway here from this slide is that we not only have the backbone architectures available that are GPU optimized, but we also have purpose-built pre-trained models that are built, curated, data is curated, or either purchased from NVIDIA and curated, optimized to make it much more easier for you to get started. So whether it's like a smart city-based pre-trained model, like for instance, if you want to do people detection in an airport, or gaze estimation, or ALPR, heart rate estimation, language translation, any of those, you can find free pre-trained models on NGC. You can take them, train them, applying transfer learning using Tau Toolkit. Tau Toolkit was previously called as Transfer Learning Toolkit. And then you can easily export the models. Basically, Tau Toolkit is just a command line interface. You can easily run commands, and then you export the model, encrypted model, and you can deploy it on through DeepStream SDK. And I'll just give you a high-level overview of how it looks like here. All right, next slide, please. So as I mentioned, you can take a pre-trained model, apply transfer learning with Tau Toolkit, and then deploy it with DeepStream SDK. So the cool part about DeepStream SDK is that whether you prefer C, C++ or Python programming, you can pick either routes as a developer who's interested in trying out DeepStream SDK. But also, if you're interested in the low code or the GUI approach, we recently launched, I think as of last November, we launched beta version of what you see on the left side, right? You can quickly drag and drop blocks and create an end-to-end vision AI pipeline. So I'd highly recommend taking a look at any of these options. There are a lot of sample apps, getting started resources for DeepStream SDK. I've just put together like an end-to-end pipeline that I mentioned, which is starting with an NGC pre-trained model. You bring your own custom data, transfer learn it, go through the Tau toolkit, take the encrypted model, put it through DeepStream, deploy it, and like you're ready to go. You will also have other IoT-enabled features that you can take a look at. There are additional plugins, like you're welcome to explore them as well. Again, if you want to get a deep dive on DeepStream, join us next week. There will be product level experts who will be giving a hands-on deep dive for this. All right, next slide, please. And I see a few questions coming in. I'm going to take it towards the end of the presentation, if you all don't mind. All right. So switching gears a little bit. So far we spoke about different virtual frameworks at a high level, and then we jumped into the video analytics framework. And now switching gears, we're looking at accelerated data science. So Rapids is our solution for accelerated data science. Rapids is open source, and you can basically execute end-to-end data science or analytics pipelines entirely on GPUs. So what happens here is that it relies fully on NVIDIA CUDA primitives for low-level compute optimization, but also opens up the GPU parallelism, which is really the most preferred by our developers. And there are lots of user-friendly Python interfaces that you can leverage. Rapids is something that has been adopted by known companies of bigger sizes, startups, to even medium-sized companies. Just to name a few companies: Walmart, Uber, IBM, PyTorch, H2O AI, Databricks. These are some of the names that are already using Rapids today. Next slide, please. Actually, sorry, one more thing I wanted to highlight here is that, again, this is super high level. Take a look at it for yourself. There are some speed up comparisons that you see right below the stack description on the left side, where you'll see the comparison between what we have done with not just the GPUs, but also in comparison with the CPU nodes and so on. For the latest benchmarking information, I would highly recommend checking out rapids.ai. Also, depending on whether you are looking at the experimentation stage or looking at the production side, you can choose to run Rapids on GeForce Titan RTX, or even the more professional production side servers such as T4, DGX, A100s. I'm not going to dive deeper into all of these specific numbers. I think what's more important from a developer perspective is that, it's open source. Check it out. It's, it opens up full GPU parallelism, lots of Python interfaces for you to quickly dabble and get started with. And we have lots of sample apps and notebooks to get started with. Next slide, please. This is just an example that NASA is using Rapids as well, but you're welcome to read it after the meetup. I'll jump to the next section, please. So now we're jumping into the third framework, which is for healthcare. So our healthcare framework is called NVIDIA Clara. Again, I don't want to bombard you with too many of these NVIDIA terminologies or wrappers, but at a high level, NVIDIA Clara is really our healthcare framework. It includes solutions for drug discovery, genomics, medical imaging, and including smart hospitals, which has reusing of DeepStream SDK and the pre-trained models that I mentioned, for instance, detecting people or patient fall and so on, and models related to that. But there are also pre-trained models specific to healthcare. You can find pre-trained models for like CT scan, MRI, X-ray, metastasis detection, oxygen level prediction, and so on. There's what's called as Clara Train SDK and then Clara Deploy SDK, similar to what we discussed earlier for intelligent video analytics, which is Star Toolkit to train and transfer learn the models and then deploying it with DeepStream. Here you have Clara Train SDK and then you have Clara Deploy SDK. There's also an AI assisted annotation toolkit that sits within Clara Train SDK that you could leverage as well. All of these are free to download. You can try it out on NVIDIA NGC catalog. Again, all of the GPU optimized containers, models, frameworks, all of it sit in NGC. So take a look at them. Next slide, please. All right, so these are just a few examples of what some of our healthcare startups are doing. Like, for instance, this one is in disease detection, for instance. I'll just jump over because I know it's a lot of reading, so feel free to watch it at your own convenience. Next slide, please. This is another example where a hospital is, leveraging our healthcare Clara stack, where instead of spending about 3 months of time, they were able to compress and really reduce their development cycles into just about an hour, leveraging all of the pre-trained models and then the AI-assisted annotation SDK, Clara, train and deploy SDK, and so on. Next slide, please. All right, so I wanted to take you to Nvidia Omniverse, which is our solution for building 3D worlds. This is something new that we launched last year, but all of the technologies that you see within Nvidia Omniverse is something that we've been working for many, many years now. So Nvidia Omniverse is basically an extensible open platform that's really built for virtual collaboration and real-time physically accurate simulation. So think of it as, let's say, there is a design firm or an architecture firm, and it has employees sitting in Bengaluru, and let's say, for instance, Johannesburg and Santa Clara, California. What happens is that you can create a 3D world where all of the designers sitting in these 3 different locations can look at the same design or structure and continue to coordinate and collaborate virtually and make sure that you don't necessarily have to make a local copy, download it every time to make changes, but that you're all collaborating live through what's called as NVIDIA's Omniverse Nucleus, for instance. There are a bunch of things within Omniverse. There is a beginner level Omniverse webinar that I shared towards the end of this session. Please take a look at that. But this is super high level in terms of the things that we offer within NVIDIA Omniverse. So one of the first things is that we have what's called as audio to phase, which that goes by the word. So you can use an audio and convert it into an animated face. You could choose it to be a human or a rhino speaking with a human voice and so on. So that's enabled today with NVIDIA Omniverse. Developers can also, very similar to how you have a marketplace to publish, let's say, Android apps, you can develop your own apps and use NVIDIA's Omniverse marketplace or IDE to build the apps and also release it to your end users or customers and so on. So that's also possible. There's also the same technology that's being used by our Drive team or the self-driving team. There's also Omniverse that's being leveraged for robotics or creating digital twin. One of the examples I want to highlight is BMW creating not just a live factory setting, but they're also creating a digital twin of it. And another example I want to give is that NVIDIA is building a digital twin of Earth. It's called E2. You can read more about it, and that's all being built using Omniverse as well. So there are more options. So whether you're a creator or thinking of being a 3D creator, or if you're a developer who wants to build an experience or a solution using Omniverse, or if you're an enterprise building, let's say, a cool application that could be used by, let's say, upcoming movies, for instance, you can definitely look into Omniverse as something that will help you use AI, RTX rendering, and all the coolness with like the marketplace approach that you can not only create but also share that and have a go to market and sell your apps basically. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, there are mainly three components. So one obviously is the AI part, which includes, animated speech entity. You could create an avatar. So we will be releasing avatar custom blocks through Omniverse in the coming months. Keep an eye out for that. But also there is a really cool demo. I wish I could show it here, but what I'm going to do is I'll share it in the chat window, and I'll share it with the host as well. Please take a look at it. It's called Project Tokyo. The right side avatar that you see, the white eggshell type of assistant avatar that you see, comprises of video analytics, basically to analyze the sentiment of, let's say, for instance, a customer ordering food at a burger joint, and then it's using speech AI. It's using our Nemo's model. Nemo, as I mentioned, is one of our libraries that you can use for training your speech models. And then you can also use recommend. That's not the one actually. It's NVIDIA's Tokyo. Tokkio. And then there's what's called as a recommender engine as well. For instance, if you have, let's say you want to have a burger, but at the same time, you might want to consider buying Pepsi or fries, or maybe add tomato, remove cabbage. I don't know, right? So you can definitely do all of those. And there's a recommender engine built to suggest and make your experience even better. That's a cool project. Take a look at it. I think it gives you a high-level overview of how a lot of technologies, including 3D world collaboration, avatar, speech AI, and recommender system comes together. And I'll share the link right after the call. And then obviously the rendering part. So you might have already heard of our real-time ray tracing capabilities, using DLSS, which is deep learning super sampling, that runs on NVIDIA Tensor cores on RTX GPUs. So that's obviously a part of it. So in order to get started with Omniverse, you obviously need an RTX-enabled machine. And then the simulation part, which is the cool part, right? Because you don't have to physically design something from scratch to simulate the physics, or like the properties such as when you turn, the reflection needs to be in a certain way. When you create an animated character, it has to be very realistic. So all of these are available within Omniverse as well. So all you have to do is build what you want with the existing bits of components that are already available for you. So it's very as easy as like drag and drop. You can find lots of resources on it. I'll share them right after this call, but I think at this point I'm spending more time on the slide, but I really wanted to make sure I break it down in terms of what are some of the important things about Omniverse. Next slide, please. So this is Project Tokyo that I was talking about. There is a YouTube link there. Are we able to play that by any chance?
Ma'am, we can play that. Not a problem. You can hit on it. I'll hit on it, and I'll just get
Okay.
the
Okay.
share
It's
screen done.
probably,
Share this tab instead.
yeah,
I think that's
perfect.
the one,
Perfect.
right? Perfect.
Yes. I think it's probably about 1.5 minutes or so, but it's
Sure,
definitely
sure.
cool. It would be great to show it.
I'll just play it. Yeah, yeah. I'll play it.
Okay. Thanks.
One second, I'll share my screen again with the system audio. Share with the system audio. Window. Oh, shit.
If it's easier, we can share the link in the comment section, right? I think people can watch it. Just want to be respectful of the time that everybody is live, right? I'll drop the link to the video here for you, Vishwas. You can share it with everyone. Can you all hear me? I can't hear anyone.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Actually, I think Vishwas sir is doing something. Vishwas sir, if you can
Okay.
hear me, kindly share your screen. And when we share the screen, it asks for should we share our entire screen. Just go with the option. Uh, I'll select the only Chrome window, and then I think the audio will be audible.
Okay, I still can't hear, but I'll just stand by so that the slide comes up.
Guys, you can ask your doubts till the time. Ma'am, can we take some of the doubts till the time Vishwas is joining?
Yeah, I'm reading through the questions here.
Yeah, I'll highlight the questions. Here are some
Okay.
of the questions you can see on the screen.
My notification. Sorry for that, folks.
How can
Windows
a
Windows
dev?
issue.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I'll share my screen again. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
till then,
All
if
right.
ma'am is
Yeah.
solving some doubts, you can
So
go ahead.
I think the first question is how can a developer turn as a ninja deep learning scientist? Ha, interesting one. But see, here's the thing, right? I mean, it's a process. You have to learn certain things, whether it's, like you're Python proficient or, like in another domain. See where you're headed, right? You don't have to become a ninja deep learning scientist because someone else wants to do it. One of the things I would recommend, and I'm seeing that with at least, like over, I believe we have over 100K downloads with Rapid specifically, is delivering more of the open source projects, either collaborating or initiating your own. I think that when you get hands-on experience with open source contributions, I think that's a great way to get live practice. And at least if it's not ninja part, but at least you'll, like be on the right path. That would be my opinion. And of course, we have
Yeah.
lots of developer networking resources. Go ahead, Vishwas. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not about being the ninja style developers, like tuck, 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 everything. Doesn't happen like that, in the industry. It's like the data schemas differ, there's an end-to-end solution for it, which is unknown, which is different from one firm to another, one team to another. So probably that might not help you if you are just going to be the best version of. I think probably if you are willing to build the best version of yourself as a deep learning scientist, yes, it's going to work. If you want to be that ninja style guy, tuck, 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 it's never going to happen for sure at any given point of time. Yeah, I think that's the key. That's the myth
Yeah.
that goes behind in the industry, but it's the truth. The best of the best keep learning every single day.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Do we take more questions or are we ready to proceed? I think I should be done in like probably next 7 minutes-ish, 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Let's continue here. So Vishwas is going to share the link to the demo. I think it's a cool demo. Take a look at it so you understand how video analytics, speech AI technology, and like including Nemo language model that's being used to understand the intent of like this exchange, and also the recommendations that are put together by Nvidia Merlin. As I mentioned, Nvidia Merlin is the framework for like our all things related to recommender systems and so on. And the overall 3D avatar that you see is animated and visualized here is done all by Omniverse. So it's kind of like delivering customer service experience all in real time, but also the personalization aspect is integrated to it. But you're also understanding the intent of, let's say, the customer or whoever is standing in front of the kiosk and so on. I think it's a cool project, so take a look at it. And I believe we have more technical blogs on Project Tokyo as well. Next slide, please. So this is just another example of how collaborators, which includes, like architects, for instance, who are using Omniverse, where they can recreate a project and collaborate not just within one location, but globally. Again, like it's best suited when you see these live demos. It's all available. Look up Nvidia Omniverse. I saw a question where they were asking, is it Nvidia Metaverse or Omniverse? The Metaverse solution by Nvidia is called Omniverse. So all you have to remember is Omniverse. Okay, so Google Nvidia Omniverse, and you'll find a lot of demos related to how 3D artists can use it, architects can use it, how AI deep learning researchers can use Kaolin, and so on. But like obviously the slide doesn't do justice, but I just wanted to show that architects are also using architecture firms are using Omniverse to like collaborate in a digital or 3D world. Next slide, please. This is another example from the same firm. Like again, like go ahead and look up Nvidia Omniverse and you'll see the live demos. These are just snapshots from Omniverse view. Next slide, please. So if you're curious, if you want to try out Omniverse, it's free for creators. We did a beta back in December 2020, and we recently did a general availability announcement, and availability is out now starting in Jan, and we have over 130K downloads, and it's free for individual developers. There's also an enterprise licensing version that's for, obviously the enterprises or companies who are interested in building solutions based off of Omniverse. And then the third one that I mentioned is for developers who want to use Omniverse Kit and Nucleus resources to develop an app and deploy it for the end users. And, they can choose to design own experiences and deploy it for, like for fun, or like, for, let's say, like on an app store kind of an experience, right? You decide who your audience is going to be. Next slide, please. So switching gears a little bit. So if you are a part of a technology startup, whether it's AI, ML, data science related, or even robotic startup, if you're thinking of starting a company, something to think about is Nvidia has a program that is of zero equity. It's a free accelerator, virtual accelerator program offered by Nvidia. And we support all types of tech startups. So if you haven't already had your startup apply, whether you're working there or whether you've started it yourself or thinking of starting one, once you're a legal entity and at least have 3 members, don't miss the chance to join Nvidia Inception. So we are headed close to 10,000 startups now. And like I mentioned, we have about 760 startups within the Indian ecosystem, and we are growing rapidly, supporting more local startups as well. And we have two categories. One is the community member level and the premium member level. I don't know how much of interest is within the audience, but I'll just give you a quick overview. With the community member approach, you have access to pretty much everything except for the special customer introductions, premier VC events, solution architect guidance, and relationship manager access. When it comes to premium member, obviously you get these additional benefits, but one key thing to remember is that any startup that gets approved and joins NVIDIA Inception, they get close to $100,000 worth of free cloud credit access, whether it's through AWS, Microsoft for Startups, or Oracle, depending on the regional guidelines or restrictions with respect to which CSP to use and so on. So that's, I think, a key benefit that you need to remember. So if you know of someone who would benefit from this, or yourself looking at starting a company, tech startup, join NVIDIA Inception. So how do you get into Premier category? So Premier category is for the ones who have at least secured Series A funding and should have a solution in production for consideration. So that's really kind of the differentiation there. We've had many unicorns globally who have started out smaller, have joined like pre-seed to even like just early funding rounds, to now have become unicorns through our program. They've leveraged most of our marketing channels. They've come to GTC, that's our premier conference. They've presented their work, and they've enabled conversations with global VCs and have gotten interest and funding streams from global VCs. So that's really how NVIDIA Inception works. Moving to the next slide, please. So high level, whatever I mentioned right now, so you get access to free Deep Learning Institute courses. There are also predefined hardware discounts for startups who join our program. There's free cloud credit access to certain limits, $100,000, depending on whether they pick AWS, Microsoft for Startups, or Oracle. And then we have venture capital access. We have a whole dedicated program called Capital Connect, and also we have marketing engines, including the different conferences and customer introductions and so on. That's at a high level, all things NVIDIA Inception. Next one, please. Next slide. All right, so I'm heading towards the close of this session. So really, like if you haven't already joined our developer program, it's free, $0, open for any student, developer, researcher, faculty, anyone to join NVIDIA developer program. It's like it literally takes about under 10 seconds to join. And for developer communities, so we have Vishwas enrolled the communities that he's leading to emerging chapters. So it's a program that's built for communities where we look at enabling communities with free technical resources, Deep Learning Institute coupons, technology trainings, speaker sessions. Today it's me. We might have another follow-up session, deep dive into, let's say, Omniverse, if that's of interest to the community, and so on. So all of that is managed by my team, and that's all things developer communities. We also have Deep Learning Institute here. I see someone post a question where, which NVIDIA certification is best for a beginner. So we have about 10 courses that are free within the self-paced online courses. Take a look at them. It really depends on which stream do you want to go with. I would start with, like, if you want to build on fundamentals, there is a couple of courses on basics of video analytics, basics of, or rather fundamentals of deep learning. Start with those, and then you can choose to get into accelerated data science or conversational AI or transformers and so on. There's also live workshops that happen on a monthly basis. If that's of interest, and if you already have a student ID, it should be free for you to enroll with our DLI live workshops. And next one, please. So I want to take this moment to really invite all of you to join NVIDIA GTC. It's our free and virtual conference that happens at least twice a year since pandemic has started. But prior to that, we would have more regional focused GTCs as well, in-person developer meetups and so on, until the world gets more safer and we can all meet in person officially. I would love to encourage you all to join us next week for our virtual event. It's NVIDIA GTC. It's happening March 21st to 24th. The keynote is on March 22nd by our CEO. So if you're curious about any of these topics, there are beginner, intermediate, and advanced level topics in all of the categories that you see here. Whether you want to learn about Jetson, we have Jetson Developer Day. Omniverse, we have a whole set of sessions around it. Developer communities, we have developer meetups, anything related to, let's say, HPC or research side of things, or even fintech, like, we have it all. We have over 500 plus sessions. You can customize the agenda to attend the live sessions. That way you get to interact with product experts live during those sessions, and you can customize your itinerary virtually. So be sure to join the sessions next week. Next slide, please. All right, so this is just a high level, or of the different sessions we will have for Omniverse Developer Days as a part of GTC. So we have a bunch of top companies that are coming in, and we will have Nvidia experts who are actually building the product and the services for Omniverse talk about it. Whether you're interested in, let's say, for instance, synthetic data generation, you can come learn about Omniverse Replicator, or you're interested in developing and deploying apps through Omniverse, we have a dedicated session for that. Building microservices, making a connector or microservice within Omniverse, you can learn all of that, or even physics simulation and so on. Come join us for all the sessions if that's of interest. Very similarly, we have Jetson Developer Day as well. I do not have a slide on that, but just go to NVIDIA GTC. I'll share the link with the hosts as well. They should be able to share it with you. Join us for Connect with Experts sessions and deep dives overall. Next slide, please. So my last slide, I promise, is, every month on third Thursdays, we have, different experts, internal and external, come and talk about different topics. So if you want to learn about fundamentals to advanced topics, join us. It's through NVIDIA Emerging Chapters educational series. I'll share the link for that as well. But if you're curious and want to register right away, we already have fundamentals in Jetson, Conversational AI, accelerated data science, and Omniverse already available. On Feb 24th, we had a session on Metaverse, which is, again, NVIDIA Omniverse. So take a look at those. You can attend them on demand, learn different topics. So you can do that. Look up NVIDIA Emerging Chapters educational series. All right. So I think that's it from my side. Thank you, Vishwas. And we can head over to feedback and questions. I'll try to answer what I'm familiar with, but I'm scanning through all the questions here.
Sure. Yeah,
I tried
that's the best
representing
part.
7 people at NVIDIA at this point, but it's okay.
Sure. Yeah, I think, yeah, like when we look at the scale deployments, like when I just even look at the hybrid servers that we work on, EMC Square server, it has NVIDIA GPUs on it. We need to optimize that. We need to get the power ramped up and things like that. It's all about that optimization. How can you cut the cost by even 1% or else take the tiny steps, reach to the biggest point? I think, thank you so much for giving such great insights. I think a lot of questions, we need to answer them. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna go from the bottom. What happens during the GTC conference? Okay, so we have a bunch of sessions. Like I said, we have developer days. So if you're curious about Edge AI, I would highly recommend joining Jetson Developer Day series of sessions that includes a fundamental series to deeper dives and getting more of like hands-on view, live demos from the product and engineering teams, and so on. That way you get to network directly with them and connect with them. And like if you post a blog on Jetson related things, you can send it to the team. They would love to see it, feature it on Nvidia developer program websites and so on. So that's the first thing. Let's see what else is here. Nvidia Metaverse versus Omniverse. So Nvidia's Metaverse solution is called Nvidia Omniverse. I hope that helps. So the only thing you need to remember is Omniverse. Omniverse. That's about it. And Nvidia's approach on metaverse, I think we just went through it. So we have a bunch of things, whether you're a 3D creator, professional enterprise, or a professional developer trying to build an app similar to what you would do with, let's say, for instance, App Store or Android Marketplace. You can certainly do that. Next one, Web3 is emerging field or tech growing rapidly. So I want to know how NVIDIA is approaching in this regard. What could be an, you know what, I cannot talk about this because I'm not the authorized person to talk about something futuristic that that we're not allowed to talk about. When we do have information, or if we do have information, I'll be happy to share it with the community. We can always come back and have a follow-up info session.
Yeah, like
All right.
as an Nvidia fan, I can answer this question for sure. Nvidia is not moving towards the Web3 completely. Like they are optimizing towards best of the best hardware and the software for it. And I don't think so. They are more towards the Web3 because their researchers, okay, Anima and Kumar, amazing folks from. You just enter the GTC, you will understand what is happening in Nvidia. That's it. Simple as that. Enter
That's
GTC.
right. Yes.
Enter
GTC.
GTC.
Yeah, GTC is the answer for a lot of
And
things.
also hot
Yeah,
labs will be enabled. Hot labs will be enabled for you folks. Like best of the best GPUs on the AWS cloud will be available for you. M series EC2 machines, go use it. That's it for the GTC sessions. So yeah, go ahead. Sure. Ma'am.
okay. Yeah. So thank you for answering. I just want to make sure that I don't talk about things that are not relevant to NVIDIA.
Sure.
So, all right. So what else? Omniverse is there, and for modeling, yes. Okay. How is deep learning models moving from one modeling technique to another? Good question. But I don't think I work on that side of the space to talk about, like what modeling techniques would come up. But maybe Vishwas can talk more about it, or someone
Yeah.
else can.
Yeah,
Oh,
like I will say one thing, it's evolving step by step with a new solution, inch by inch. It's an all new transformation. Like if you think one step is bigger, the other step will be much more bigger from Nvidia. Like I think I had made one meme on a cow, which is deep learning, and Nvidia coming up saying "Hello, sunshine," because Nvidia has
I
drawn
don't
everything
know
out
where your
from.
memes go. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think
where
it's
your
on.
memes go. I never get to see them.
Oh yeah, like I think I'll share you that. I'll share you that. Like that's the best part about it. Nvidia has already drawn the best of best in the deep learning, but again, if you think of the way they are approaching, they are really optimizing good on the general AI that we are talking. But specific AI, they're not yet above it. But amazing ASIC solutions are coming up from Nvidia. Go ahead, start working towards it. Like companies like GCP, like which uses GCP and everything, they're optimizing to the best of the best because Nvidia is all about like how do you optimize the hardware to the best of the best delivery that it can deliver, right? So it's all about that. So ASICs are coming up from Nvidia, which is doing phenomenally good in terms of deep learning training. So techniques are evolving over a course of time. So keep that in mind. So just be a student of life. Your life is sorted in deep learning. That's it.
Alrighty. So I see another question. Again, enter GTC is the answer. But like we have Cloud XR, we have professional services and SDKs available for AR, VR that infuses deep learning. But if you want to get a deep dive into what's happening, what's upcoming in it, the best solution for you right now is join us for GTC next week. I'm familiar at a high level, but I do not have day-to-day visibility in terms of what's evolving on the AR VR side. So the best thing would be joining for GTC next week. All right, so there are low code and no code platforms coming up today. How is NVIDIA approaching it today? All right, so many verticals, I think we are already looking at it. Of course, it's also important for us at the end of the day, depending on the developers that we work with. I think we have a combination of developers and students who are interested in hands-on, give me the code and I'll do my own thing, versus some who are like, okay, I do not have time to do XYZ things, like give me a low code solution, which is why I mentioned about the pre-trained models that are already readily available. Apply transfer learning very easily. Like it's a super easy CLI based toolkit called Tau Toolkit, which was previously called as Transfer Learning Toolkit. You can run simple commands as TLT train, TLT evaluate, eval, TLT export, and so on. Like it's super easy. You can get started with that. And also, as I highlighted already with DeepStream SDK, we have, think of it as like 3 high-level paths. So one is C++ route, Python path, and then we also have the GUI based option as well, something that we launched late last year, but like it's of increasingly of interest across many verticals. And DeepStream, you may have already seen that it's grown really to become very popular and a powerful SDK. So like take a look at those. Those are some of the like low code, no code options. And then we also have a similar approach for conversational AI. So Tau Toolkit that I mentioned is also applicable for conversational AI, because we do have models on, like the ASR side of things. Take a look at them. I'm sure they've added probably like 35 models by now. The last time I worked on it was last Feb. When we had just launched, I think like 7 of them, like CordsNet and JasperNet, like pretty basic optimizations, but now we have launched many more. So take a look at those, whether it's in conversational AI side or IVA, video analytics side. There are options. Again, like we are continuously evolving our SDK access approaches based on developer needs. So look out for more news on newer announcements next week. Okay.
As you
As you're
mentioned,
mentioning that pre-trained data being used for testing and other purposes. So I want to know if NVIDIA provides any precision to the processing data, or how does, I'm just making up my own sentence at this point, pre-process the data. Well, so Google any of the models that I mentioned, right? Pre-trained models, go to NVIDIA NGC and you'll be able to find information of how each model has been pre-processed. And also you'll find a model card associated, depending on, let's say, for instance, you're interested in VGG, backbone network, or one of our purpose-built models, such as people detection or intent recognition or gesture recognition. So you should be able to find it there. Yeah, the best place would be go to NGC and you'll find the whole model card and how pre-processing was done, and also what were some of the KPIs that they looked at, and the latest version. It's all containerized. Yeah.
yeah. And I think she asked about the security, how MLOps taken care in the organization today. God, amazing questions.
This is, I think, Vishwas's question. That was
Yeah.
your.
Yeah, like MLOps need not have to be something that you rely on Nvidia only. Amazing open source software has already come up. Like MLflow is there. What do you want more? Now, weights and biases are deeply in connection with, like, they are connected with Nvidia. Like, Nvidia and weights and biases, they have the best relationship
Yeah.
when it comes to MLOps. So you take that solution end to end. Industry is using it, by the way. It's It's not like a one-day solution. It just evolved over a course of time. Like if you think of MLOps, visualization, analytics, big data, traffic monitoring, everything was back then a simple batch process, but now it's a stream process. Now they real time process the data, churn out the data, insights, and things like that. So in a MLOps in a bigger organization, it's all automation. In a smaller
Yeah.
operations, it's just batching the data, training it, releasing the model, then batching the data, releasing the models that has been trained, then giving out. So yeah, that's the thing. So that's what
I think,
MLOps is
yeah.
all about.
Yeah, I think in summary, really, it's more like you mentioned, right? We partner rather than like building from scratch, right? Because we already have
Yeah,
amazing partners like I don't know if you've heard of like Paperspace or even Weights
hyperspace.
and Biases, for instance. And there are many more. Like I don't know, like
Hyperspace, I
Determine
think.
AI,
Yeah.
for instance. I don't know, like there are many, but yeah, there is, and we have an ecosystem already. Also, I want to mention that we have annotation partners as well for Tau
Yep.
Toolkit. So, that's also something to think about. So, like it's really the logic, right? You build by a partner, and when you already have a holistic partner ecosystem, it's the best that we open up that ecosystem for developers. So if you want to use like Sama or, like, any other vendors, you're welcome to check out Tau Toolkit, and we have like plethora of annotation and synthetic data generator partners as well.
Yep.
So,
I think Paperspace gives an amazing amount of blocks and notebooks. Like that notebook has
mhm.
the best GPU actually, so you guys can use it. Paperspace is doing pretty great in terms of giving the compute for us also. So free compute, just go use it, build a model, write some papers. Best part about it. Yeah, I think other questions. How are techniques evolving with compute power with GPU? Okay, that's not it. I think security. I think there was. Yeah, here is that one, ma'am. Security wala question. Yours only. Security in the
Where is it?
software. Yeah, this is the one we just put it on the screen.
Security in the software that is used at this scale, how is it seen today with respect to performance? Are we playing with the trade-offs with the security and the performance? Okay, good questions, but these are all like documentation related. I probably will not have insights. And I think it's SDK dependent, but overall, the whole point is to make sure that there is cohesive performance and there is no drop in performance, regardless of the like what route we take in terms of encrypting the software and so on. So I don't think they are like directly related in that sense, but again, like if it's specific to a software, I would highly recommend looking up, let's say for instance, Deepstream, and then the security enablements associated with that, or like the IoT plugin securities and so on. Yeah.
Sure, I think. Yeah, like this is from Tisha Gadia. Like, how are new techniques evolving with respect to compute power with GPU is giving today? Oh, hmm. I
Can
think
you
probably
highlight
customer.
that question?
Yeah, yeah. Can you highlight that
For
question?
new
Like
techniques,
last one.
how
Yeah.
are new techniques evolving with respect to compute power, which GPU is giving today? How are new techniques evolving with respect to compute power? I think so. We already have tensor cores, right? I don't know if you've heard of tensor cores. They already help with a lot of matrix and math operations. And I think we continue to heavily rely on them, not just in our recent previous generation GPUs, but also in our future generation GPUs. That's going to be like an underlying thing. That's all I can talk about. It seems like the ask is about roadmap for GPUs in the future. The best thing is join us for GTC, and that's when you
Yeah.
get newer news. So like make sure you attend the
All
keynote on
sessions.
March 22nd. Yes.
Wait, I think there is a complete. I think somebody asked for an ML ops, right? There is a complete roadmap for ML ops events. It's called events.rain focus. Yes, I found the link and I'm putting it down here. Wait, I'll make it a tiny.cc link. Tiny.cc. So you guys can go check that out. NV event ML ops. So it's tiny.cc. Okay, domain is not allowed. NV events ML ops 123 something. Let's do this. Oops, try it again. Oh, okay. This This link doesn't come up as a tiny.cc link. I don't know why, but like, let's see if it works. Good. If it doesn't, all right. Nvidia
Is it
ML
possible to
off.
just share it right after the call? Like if they're able to access the
Yeah,
same
I
info
think I
window or
shared it in the
something?
private chat. I think you guys
Yeah.
can put that in the this one link only. Yeah, I think yeah, perfect. Complete link came in. I thought the link might not come up, so that's why.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the guidelines to split the application model between the edge device, mobile, and the backend service in cloud.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, knowing my background and the areas that I covered, this is probably not the best question for me. And I'll
Yeah.
be very transparent with you. So the best thing is, like I'll have Vishwas talk about it, or like you're welcome to join us next week. I'd love to see all of you at GTC. And we can always have a follow-up discussion with one of our solution architects, and dive deeper with, let's say, Omniverse or Jetson, for instance. So that's
Yeah.
always a possibility.
Yeah, I think there is
Yeah.
one method called as federated learning. You can train a model on your mobile device, put it on a backend server, you'll have the deployment going out there. But over a course of time, if you realize what's the trade-off between that, it's like you have the security, but you don't have the performance of that scale data. So I don't think so. This session was that, but like to answer your question, federated learning is one. If you want some more, it's all about like how can you optimize the entire hardware itself and then push that entire built model onto the backend server. So it's always that trade-off. So hybrid is the approach. What you can take. That's it. I think.
So
Yes, ma'am.
one note though, with federated learning, I mean, you brought up a good point, but with federated learning, everything is on-prem, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not, the question was about splitting
No.
between
Like
edge
federated
and
learning need not have to be completely on the device. Also, it can be partially off the device. Like we tried building a model on a self-driving car. We found out that okay, self-driving car need not have to have that much amount of data on board, so we push it on cloud. So
I think it's
federated learning need not
application
have.
dependent, really. I
Yeah,
think that was the answer. So it's
yeah, it's
application
like application
dependent.
dependent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
And
fusion algorithms are there, man. Like, how can you forget fusion algorithms? You can do whatever you want with it. No, I'm not joking. It works, by the way. Sure.
cool. So
Oh,
how GP architecture is learned today? Can you give some insights about the customer who are very particular to it? Can you add more context to the question, please?
I think she's asking about like how are customers more specific towards the architecture. Like Tesla moved out of Nvidia after a while. They have their own FSD computer, right? Like that's what probably that might she might be asking about. Like how rigid are they towards the architecture of the hardware? Like how do they want their hardware to be? So I think probably that might be the question. Yep.
Well,
I think yeah, that
I'll
was the
tell.
question.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I know, right? So I think it's really customer dependent and application dependent. Some really want like lightweight, like light models to run. Like for instance, startups ask for those, but also as they're trying to scale, they want to get into T4s and A100s, and like they struggle to scale, which is when they start looking or learning about the GPU optimized containers that we have, whether it's the SDKs or frameworks and so on. So I think in general, sure, there might be rigidity with some of the customers, but if you look at it, I think we've been one of the strongest AI companies who have catered to many, many form factors and use cases, whether it's supercomputers to like as simple as patient fall detection using Jetson Nano, for instance. So there's been flexibility. But if you're curious about the future gen of like how our architecture is evolving, GTC is the answer. Next week, I mean,
Enter
attend the
GTC.
keynote. attend the keynote. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah,
Yeah.
please join. And I hope I was able to answer most of the questions. But again, like if I can be of further help, let me know. And we can always have a follow-up discussion. I'd love to get feedback from the community. Like how can we continue to stay engaged, right, with NVIDIA
Sure.
developer side of things. So please, yeah, and don't hesitate to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me Amulya Badlani. And yeah, thank
Amulya
you so much,
B.
everyone. Yeah,
Amulya B.
Amulya. Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
Amulya
Amulya
B. Yeah.
B. Just look up Amulya Vishwanath or Amulya B. I'm in the middle of name transition, but anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the kind comments as well. Wishing you all the very best, and please join us at GTC. Take care, everyone. And Vishwas, thank you so much. And Varun as well, thank you so much. Did I get
Yep.
the name right? Okay.
Yes, Varun
Okay.
Bansal.
Awesome.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, both of you, and everyone attending. I know it's late in the night, but I hope it was worth it. And see you at
Yep.
GTC.
Sure.
And please do the raffles for the coupons as well.
Yeah,
However
yeah.
you choose to.
We just choose the best question here, and
Okay.
we'll just give
Okay.
the coupons to them. So yeah.
Perfect. So three of you are gonna get self-paced DLI coupons from the team. Have fun. Okay.
Sure, folks. Thank you so much. I think I can use my old coupons which you had given. I think so. I think that's
Yeah,
still
you could do
valid.
that as well.
So I
Yes.
think 5 + 3, 8 coupons is here. So 8 best answers will
Perfect.
be getting. So yeah, I
Awesome.
think. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you so much for being part of the session, and also Amulya, thanks for such great insights. Means a lot to us when you when you just make us the time. And perfect, folks. So see ya.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.